My dear friends, Shabbat Shalom, Shana Tova, and Gmar Chatima Tova. This is the last Kol Nidrei sermon that I will deliver as your rabbi. And as I think about July 1st, 2025, when I will join Rabbi Foster as a Rabbi Emeritus of Temple Emanuel, I realize that this coming year will be filled with many lasts. The last B'nai Mitzvah, the last Shabbat service, the last funeral, the last conversion, student or hospital visit, or baby naming, and all these will be poignant and powerful. The last wedding at which I will be officiating while I'm still Senior Rabbi will be in June, and it will be extra special because my son Ethan will stand with his beloved Zahava Davis under the chuppah right here in the sanctuary as I co-officiate with Zahava's father, Rabbi Michael Davis of Wichita, Kansas. Ethan and Zahava met 8 years ago at Schwader Camp, where he was song leader and Zahava was assistant director. So the multiple layers of joy and fulfillment of this simcha are truly overwhelming. And as I think about all of the lasts that will take place over the course of the next 262 days until I retire, but who's counting? I can't also help about thinking about some of the firsts that have brought me to this moment. It may be cliche, but it seems like only yesterday that I began my journey to the rabbinate as a student at the Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion. How could it have been 42 years ago? That seems absurd. While in rabbinical school, I began to learn what it means to be a rabbi, and the truth is I'm still learning, even at this point in my career. In seminary, my classmates and I learned to study sacred text. We immersed ourselves in liturgy, philosophy, theology, and Jewish history. We studied Hebrew and Aramaic grammar, Talmud, Midrash, Mishnah, even Kabbalah. We immersed ourselves in educational theory and homiletics. But as thorough and as wonderful as our education was, there were some things we could never be taught. There were always going to be firsts. No one taught us about the possibility of September 11th, 2001, the day that changed the world as we knew it, or a rise in anti-Semitism in America and around the world, or a global pandemic that forced us to retool everything we did overnight in order to serve the needs of the communities that we served in crisis, or the political unrest in our country that threatens the very foundation of our democracy, or, of course, the state of Israel facing an existential crisis that questions the validity and foundations of Zionism itself, just to name a few. My classmates and I, and all clergy, had no choice but to learn on the job, fumbling along with everyone else, and this process has never stopped. I'm fortunate that throughout my career, I have been blessed with some wonderful partners, both lay and professional. In Minneapolis, where I began my career, in Albuquerque following that, and of course here in Denver, where the talents of Cantor Elizabeth Sachs, Rabbi Emily Hyatt, Steve Brodsky, Executive Director Steve Stark, Rabbi Emeritus Steve Foster, and everyone on our professional and lay leadership teams inspires me daily. We have grown together. We have seen successes and taken on difficult challenges, but through it all, we have learned from one another in every experience. And we have strived to apply that knowledge and share its wisdom with you. And I am thrilled that our Board of Trustees has chosen Rabbis Sachs and Hyatt to succeed me as we go from strength to strength. Now, this past year, in addition to celebrating our 150th anniversary, we also have been holding our collective breaths. Each day following the horrific events of October 7th has left us filled with dread as we anxiously have been seeking out news about the fate of the hostages and an end to this war. Just this past Monday, on the anniversary of that tragedy, our sanctuary was filled to overflowing as our greater Denver Jewish community came together to commemorate, grieve, remember, and recommit ourselves to one another and to the state of Israel. October 7th has changed us, and in many ways it has also kept us frozen in our tracks. As we have prayed for the release of the hostages and a pathway, if not to peace, then at least to some kind of resolution that will allow for the rebuilding of destroyed communities, for the hostages to be returned, and all sides of the borders, Israeli, Palestinian, and Lebanese, will be able to find some hope. At the same time, we cannot ever give up our hope for peace, with two states, Israeli and Palestinian, living side by side. October 7th and its aftermath has also provided an added layer of complexity as I reflect on this, my last year in the pulpit. Now, while I know that retirement is the correct decision for me and my family and Temple Emanuel, it is difficult to leave at a time when there is so much chaos taking place all around us. And so as I thought about what I would share with you tonight, I must tell you, I was nervous. I didn't really know what I should say. Even though I will not be retiring until the end of June, this is the largest crowd I will address from this pulpit. So the pressure is on. What do I need to share? And more important, what do you need to hear from me tonight? And many people have asked me what I plan to do when I retire. When asked this question, Rabbi Jack Stern, a giant in the Reformed Rabbinate of blessed memory, used to say that he was going to finish his book. People would ask him, "Are you writing a book?" His response, "No, I'm just trying to read one." For the past 37 years in the pulpit, 42 if you count the time I spend in rabbinical school, and I do, my time has not been my own. You see, being a member of the clergy is more than a full-time job. Now, I'm not complaining. I love being a rabbi. And as Cantor Sachs so beautifully said on Rosh Hashanah, it is a calling, not a profession. But when I wake up on the morning of July 1st, it will feel strange, even disorienting. But I know I'll get used to it. And while I don't have a full plan yet, I do know that I will be composing, recording, and sharing my music with others. Over the course of my rabbinic career, I have often struggled to balance service to my congregation with taking care of my creative self. Music has all too often taken a back seat to the needs of the communities I have served, as it should. But after retirement, I will have more time to dedicate to creative pursuits, although Sue has informed me that she has a long list of things for me to accomplish at home. That's another story. One goal that I have set for myself early in retirement is to actually write a book based on a concept that I have been teaching and presenting at various songwriting and music conferences for the past several years. And the tentative title of the book is The Spirituality of Creativity. My hope is that it will shed some light on the sacred work of artists, musicians, writers, and anyone else who feels called to create. You see, I have found that responding to the call of my creative impulse has led me to find holiness in the most unexpected places and moments. Spirituality is a difficult concept to grasp. It can mean many different things to different people. The author and lecturer, Dr. Brene Brown, in her book, The Gifts of Imperfection, writes that spirituality is recognizing and celebrating that we are all inextricably connected to each other by a power greater than all of us, and that our connection to that power and to one another is grounded in love and compassion. I like her definition. And it's a good place to start, but it's incomplete. You see, for the gift of spirituality to be fully actualized, it needs to not only be connected with others, it has to be shared as well. And this is the line where between creativity and spirituality becomes blurred. All art, all creative acts are interactive, and they reflect our relationship with the world around us and ultimately its source. As such, I've come up with my own definition of spirituality that I want to share with you on this holiest night of the year. And my definition is based on 3 principles, all conveniently beginning with the letter A: awareness, appreciation, and action. Now, awareness begins with Dr. Brown's definition, understanding that we are all connected to each other by a power greater than ourselves. But as I just said, that in and of itself is not enough. You see, Judaism teaches that every aspect of our lives, everything we do, has the potential for holiness if we allow ourselves to find it. And this happens all the time, every day. We have blessings for everything from waking up in the morning to going to sleep at night, from tasting the first fruits of the season to affixing a mezuzah on the doorposts of our homes. Our tradition teaches us to open up ourselves and our souls to the presence of something larger, wherever and whenever we look. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, in his seminal work, The Sabbath, teaches that a key component of spiritual awakening arises out of an understanding that although we spend much of our time creating, for one day of the week, on Shabbat, we stop our labors and focus on the fact that we are created. Our task as spiritual beings is to see the world around us with a sense of awe and wonder. We crave God's presence in our lives, and we constantly search for it. And this is reflected in our sacred texts. Jacob, awakening from a dream where he saw a ladder reaching up to the heaven, cries out, "Wow, God is in this place, and I did not know it." Sarah, Rebecca, and Rachel all cry out to God in desperation as they pray for a child, and their prayers are answered. Moses pleads with God to show him the divine countenance so that he will be able to better understand God's ways, and all of God's glory passes before him as he stands on the rock in the words that we just heard chanted so incredibly beautifully by Cantor Sachs, Adonai, Adonai, Il Rachum V'Chanun. In the depths of his loneliness, the prophet Elijah hears a still small voice that reassures him of God's presence. But this doesn't only happen in the Bible. It happens to all of us. For there are times in our lives that we are acutely aware of the spiritual gifts we have been given, moments of both joy and sorrow, holding a newborn child or a grandchild, celebrating a young person becoming B'nai Mitzvah, standing under the chuppah at your wedding or a child's wedding, standing silently, shovel in hand, as the casket of a loved one is lowered into the earth, and hearing the heartbreaking thud of dirt as it hits the coffin. The pain and loss we feel reflects the gift we have been given by sharing in their lives. And even standing on this pulpit, the last time on Kol Nidrei. All of these moments are infused with hyper-awareness of both the joyous gift of life and the unbearable pain of loss. And sometimes these two experiences are blurred, and it is the fact that we are attuned to both joy and sorrow that we begin to understand just how so many different sacred strands are woven into the fabric of our lives. In the Torah, we find that we are created in God's image. And our rabbinic tradition adds to this by positing that an even greater gift than creation itself is our awareness that we were created in God's image. Once our eyes have been opened to this fundamental concept, we are forever changed. And it is this change that moves us to the next component in understanding our spiritual selves, from awareness to appreciation. You see, appreciation means responding to the gift of awareness. One of the many lessons that my mother of blessed memory drilled into my head was the importance of writing thank you notes. When we receive a gift, we have to acknowledge it and give thanks. When we understand the beauty, fragility, and uniqueness of the gift of our own creation, we have no choice but to find avenues of expression to give thanks for the blessing of our very existence. We show our appreciation when we share our lives with others. We show our appreciation with words of prayer. We show our appreciation by living lives of meaning and purpose, utilizing the finite moments of our experience, savoring the good and even the bad, because life, my friends, is fleeting and precious and rare. And the older I get, the more I understand this profound truth. There's a reason that so many of our prayers are about giving thanks. The act of acknowledging the gifts we have been given puts us in relationship with the source of those gifts, with God, or however you choose to define the divine. To understand the miraculous nature of our lives is to realize that we have no choice but to adopt an attitude of gratitude for the blessings that surround us. We are compelled to say thank you, to show our appreciation to the source of being, even when we're not sure where we need to direct our thanks. And when we have to face sorrow and pain, as we all will, the memories of the blessings we have experienced can give us strength, hope, and appreciation when we contrast them to our current situation. There's a reason that the mourner's Kaddish is not about death, but rather extolling the God who gives us life, meaning, and purpose. But acknowledging, giving thanks, is still not enough. For once we've been given a gift and shown our appreciation, the next step is to share these gifts with others, to work to make our world a better place, what our tradition calls tikkun olam, the repair of an all too imperfect world. And so we move from appreciation to action. If we do not work to improve the world, we're forsaking the gift of life itself. In Judaism, true spirituality is not about separating ourselves from others or achieving a higher level of consciousness and reveling in the marvel of our mindfulness. Have you ever wondered why there are no Jewish monasteries? The Torah takes a very dim view of the monastic life. It's all but forbidden. And the reason for this is that in order for our lives to have meaning and purpose, we need to be present in the world and act to make it a better place. So is there a cause or a candidate about which you are passionate? Volunteer. Is there an organization that makes your life better? Perhaps a synagogue. Get involved. Donate. Is there a way that you can improve the lives of those around you? Find it. Is there a way for each of us, especially at this liminal time of Yom Kippur, to find new ways to give back in thanks and in appreciation for the good that we have received? And yes, as I have implored you every year on Yom Kippur, are there relationships in our lives that are broken, that need to be repaired? On this Kol Nidrei Eve, let us take some time and think about how we all might be able to bridge the painful gaps that come from shutting out or being shut out by the most important people in our lives. Do it now. Do it before it's too late. My friends, taking action to repair the brokenness in our world and in ourselves is more than simply a good deed. It is an act of spiritual connectedness. It is prayer incarnate. Connecting with our spiritual selves is not easy. It takes awareness, appreciation, and action. God, however you define God, can be elusive. Sometimes God is distant and hard to find. And other times, such as this moment right now, God's presence is overwhelming. over these past 14 years that I've served as your senior rabbi. I've been blessed. This is a remarkable community. You have nurtured my soul and helped me to find the spirituality that puts everything into perspective. And for this, I offer my deepest thanks, gratitude, and love. And most importantly, for the times that I have not been there for you and I have let you down, knowingly or not, please forgive me. I would never have been able to be present for you or to understand the meaning and power of spirituality without my family, my beloved wife, Sue, who nurtures and sustains me, shares in my dreams, calls out my hubris, serves as my greatest cheerleader, and when necessary, my toughest critic, has been by my side throughout this entire journey. Being a rabbi's spouse is not easy. There have been too many times when the needs of the congregation have overshadowed our ability to be together. And I'm looking forward to finally being able to do simple things like sitting together at services. I am blessed by her love and support every day. And my children, Ilana and Greg and Ethan and soon Zahava, are all remarkable human beings whose values, humility, and love I cherish. Being children of clergy is never easy. People think they know you, and all too often boundaries are crossed. Sorry about that. Many clergy kids feel a need to rebel and reject their faith because they see it as a barrier to family togetherness. But they have not. And I feel so blessed to see them growing into amazing adults who care deeply about Judaism, their values, and their ability to make a difference in the world. And of course, my perfect grandson, Ezra, who has shown me more of God's presence in the past 15 months than I could ever have imagined. My dear friends, over the course of this next year, as I prepare for the next stage of my life as a Rabbi Emeritus, I'll be leaning on you, Rabbi Foster. And I know that we will have many opportunities together to study, to laugh, and maybe even shed a few tears together. But as we do, let us try to understand that everything we do can and should be done with appreciation, acknowledgement, and action. So thank you for the privilege of partnering with you in this sacred covenant. Together we have searched for God. Together we have worked to make the world a better place. Together we have shared our lives in joy and in sorrow. And I cannot be more grateful for the trust you have placed in me and in my rabbinate. And so on this holiest night of the year, I stand before you with joy, humility, and gratitude in my heart. And I want to conclude with a song that I wrote a few years ago about the meaning and purpose of the search for God's presence. It's called God Plays Hide and Seek. God plays hide and seek, leaving trails of crumbs for us to find, twists and turns along a crooked road that winds among the valleys and the peaks. God plays hide and seek. God plays hard to get, feigned indifference to our daily toil. Like a pot, oh, you watch it, but it never boils. Or a sideways silhouette. God plays hard to get. Even when you're halfway through the race and you find yourself in hot pursuit, just take some time, think about the chase. It's not the finish line you seek, it's each step along the route. God plays fast and loose. The rules change daily at a moment's whim. There's no devotion, prayer, or ancient hymn to bring about a truce. God plays fast and loose. Even when you're halfway through the race and you find yourself in hot pursuit, just take some time, think about the chase. Oh, it's not the finish line you seek, it's each step along the route. God plays hide and seek, leaving trails of crumbs for us to find, twists and turns along a crooked road that winds among the valleys and the peaks. God plays hide and seek. God plays hide and seek. God plays hide and seek. Gemar Chatima Tova. May we all be sealed for a blessing in the book of life. Amen.
Amen.